Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Another day, another review here for you. This is one I should have done a while ago, but it was far back in the queue. So this company, Oneleaf.ai, contacted me last year, asked if they could send me a digital day night vision optic that has a couple of cool features. It records, it does all this funky stuff. 4K apparently at 120 frames per second. They've got different lens options, and basically they sent me this, and I've just been that busy throughout the last year with obviously the gun reviews that it just kept getting pushed back because certain things were getting in the way. So I actually did get this about summertime last year, and every time I wanted to go and record with it, it was just too light outside. So I'm going to get this thing done because I owe it to them for sending it to me. Nothing's changed hands in terms of any monetary value whatsoever. One of the only way I accept a lot of these stuff for review is if it just comes into me blind and I can say whatever I want about it. So it's made by a company called Oneleaf.ai, and just putting all the specs on here for you. So it's the Commander NV500. Now this isn't a cheap optic by any means. Why would you go for something like this? I think it's kind of like an intelligent scope where it has all these recording features and everything built into the scope, but then it also has night vision capabilities as well. So we're going to open this up. I haven't looked at this at all since it turned up. I wanted to do it blind. So we open this up here. We've got some packaging, manuals and stuff in there, usual cleaning cloth. Let's have a quick look at the manual, see what's going on. So we've got like a little sheet here, and of course the user manual, which is going to be quite extensive. I think probably why I held this one off, because it's probably going to be one that's going to take me a bit of time to figure out how this thing works. There's going to be a lot to it. So let's have a look what came in the box. They do a couple of different versions of this scope. I'll have to remind myself how much these go for, and I'll put it on screen of the value of these. But here we go. 2-year warranty on these, with a support email as well if you have any trouble with it. And here is everything that you get. So there's a lot going on here. Everything from charging leads, USB-Cs. What is this thing here? Not entirely sure. So let's pull this thing out. So that's some kind of, maybe that goes on the front. Not entirely sure. So we'll pull it all out and I'll show you what's in here. So we've got a couple of lenses. So these are quick detach lenses. They do have what looks like dual, oh, that's what it might be for actually. Maybe you screw that in there. There's like a shade type thing. Then it's got a normal lens cap as well. These have got quite a nice bit of weight to them in terms of not feeling incredibly cheap. So we've got caps and stuff on the lenses. And you can see it's got a bunch of electrical connections there. So we've got a bigger lens and we have a smaller lens. And does that one have any markings? That one doesn't have any markings on it, but this one does. Does it have an iris? Can't see anything moving. Oh, there's 2 dials. So it does have an iris. So you can see it there, look. So it has an iris, and then there's another one here, which I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that is your focus. What's this here? This looks like some kind of little bag for it, yeah. Got the Oneleaf.ai logo on there. So there's another cap there. Where do I have that from? That was off that lens. This is a cup for the rear of it, so you can hide. Obviously, with it being digital, it's going to have a screen inside. It's going to put off some light, so you could have this up to your eye. It's very flexible and light. I like that. I'm not a fan of. Sometimes you can get these scopes where they have these and they're super rigid, and it's really uncomfortable to try and compress this to get your eye relief set. What else we got in here? That is a charger. Looks to do like maybe like 18650s or something like that. Oh, we've got a mount. So we've got your normal rail Picatinny mount here. What's this thing under here? I think it comes with an illuminator as well. So if you're in maybe a really dark environment and you haven't got much ambient light going on, with digital night vision, of course, it will pick up an IR illuminator. So that's what we've got here. It's very odd that that's got like, I think that's to probably stop the cap going all the way off there. So this has a mount where you'd probably fit it to your rifle. So remove the insulating sheet before using the device. Press the button to turn on off. Tap the button to cycle to cyclically switch 3 brightness levels. We've also got, oh, look at that. So that would obviously change, if you can see that in here. So you can kind of see the LED at the bottom there. And as we do this, it completely goes out of focus. That's probably to adjust the beam of the torch or the illuminator. We've got the main body here now. And this does have a significant bit of weight to it. So I'm not entirely sure what everything is on here. Now, what is that then? I'm not entirely sure. So that obviously grips to the side, but it doesn't look like it interfaces in terms of picking up a connection unless there's a connection on the inside. So menu buttons on the top, different functions. We've got caps on here to protect it from dust and debris. One on the front there where you attach your lenses and one on the back. We've also got focus adjustment on the back as well. I assume this will just, yep, that just screws in the back here to have your eye up against it to stop any leakage of light coming from the scope. And we can put a, what's this thing on here? Is this maybe a battery? No, that's what houses your leads. You've got a mini HD lead, you've got a Type-C, comes with a 64GB memory card. But I think it did say it goes up, you can put up to a 256 in here. So that is, it does feel like it has seals on it to stop any ingress of dirt or moisture. And it's got a very nice, strong grip on those threads to make sure nothing gets in there. So I'm not entirely sure. Let's get everything out. So we've got the lenses, we've got the eye cup, we've got this sunshade style thing. I'm not really sure what's going on there. USB leads and what have you. Does it actually tell us on the box what's inside? You can take photos, interchangeable lenses, lens detection, so it knows what lens it's using when it's plugged in, picture in picture, which is nice. 6 different profile managers, IP67 rated, 1.0. So that, I think it's a rangefinder. I think that's what it is. So this on the side is a rangefinder, so I imagine that's an optional upgrade when you purchase them. I know they did have quite a few models or iterations of this scope. So we've got all this. What about screws? Do we have screws to mount this thing? So we've got the mount. Not sure how this would mount on there. Let's have a quick gander at this here. If it doesn't come with the screws, that's a bit of an oversight. I'll have to check in the box again. Yes, yeah, so the mount goes forward like a cantilever. So it does have connections on that wrist on the side for the rangefinder, so I'm sure that's integrated into the scope. Got all these different specifications here. Unboxing. So we should have Allen wrenches, O-rings, built-in rechargeable lithium-ion battery. The charger that comes with it, I imagine then, is for the illuminator. So we unscrew this here. Yeah, that's held in by a a cap so that it doesn't turn on when it's in transit. So it comes with a battery in that, and it comes with a charger for that. So we can take a look at that as well. Micro SD card, scope mount. The only thing I'm really missing, unless I'm being a dumbass, is the mounting screws. Ah, here we go. Hiding underneath the cable. So we've got some O-rings here. We've got some big mounting screws. These big countersunk ones. Let's pull these out. Nice that they give you spare seals with this. And of course, all the Allen keys that you need. So I imagine we're going to need the big one that comes with it for the mount. And we can mount this onto the bottom. So it comes with 4 screws, but it does indeed have 5 holes. Bit odd that, but I suppose at least we've got the 4. Should it come with 5? That is the question. So we can tighten this up to the unit. Pop that in there. We're not missing anything else, are we? No, I don't think so. Okie dokie. Can we switch this thing on? Button on the side, I imagine. So if we look through it, I mean, you might not see this. So you can see the screen inside. There you go. That white box on the inside, or lightish coloured box, that's the screen on the inside of the scope. I've mounted the mount the wrong way because the mount just hit me in the cheeks. What do I do with that Allen key? There we go. So we'll spin this back the other way around because I'm a dumbass and I put it on the wrong way. So hopefully I'm going to be able to get a bit of footage of this for you, just so you can see what it's like. Now I've seen digital night vision before, and it's not on the same level as analog, because you are, most of the time, you really are dependent upon that IR light source. And if you're running digital night vision and you are dependent on an IR light source, you basically, anyone that's on the field that has analog stuff, as soon as you put your IR light on, it's like putting on a torch at a lighthouse and going, here I am. I've done many night events where I've had nice night vision, and you can just see people scanning the floors and stuff with the light on. Even people on your own team, if they're not policing it properly, they can give you away as well. So we're going to go with the smaller lens. So we take the cap off there, we take the cap off here. It's got a little finger pointing, so we can push that on and lock it into place. There we go. Not bad size. I mean, if you didn't want to use the rangefinder for airsoft, to be honest, the rangefinder is kind of pointless unless you want it. If it overlays it in the scope and you know, recording some footage, it's nice to see what the range is when you're shooting people. If you can record that, to record you hitting them on the field, of course. So yeah, can we power this on? Maybe I'll hold it. Yeah, there we go. So you might struggle to see this. So there's a screen on in there. It's not showing anything at the moment because the lens cap is on. And then you can see that there. So you can't see anything at the moment because it's like, it's just blurry at the minute, and you can really see the refresh rate. I think it's probably off the LED light panels on the ceiling, but you can see there where you get like the picture in picture. If I don't hold my hand here, you're not gonna be able to see it. We can do, should be able to do menu stuff, but you can see that the layout, it gives you pitch and degrees. It's got a compass in the top left, So it's giving you all this information. It tells you what magnification you're set to. So it's currently like 0 times 2, I think it's saying. So what is that ring for? This is why I think it's going to take a bit of time for me doing this off camera, and then hopefully being able to record something. And oh, there we go. I think I've closed the iris so it's not pulling in so much light, and we can kind of see stickers and stuff on the desk. There's the Lambo. Can we do the focus? I think that's making it worse. Maybe it's the rear focus. I think that's just changing the focus in terms of the screen. So let me have a look at something a little bit further away. Oh, here we go. Yes, that's just your eye focus. And the front ring, what does that do? Yes, you've just got 2 levels of focus here. One's for the front lens, one's for the rear lens. And at the moment it's just giving me a black and white image. So I'm not sure. Just going to start. Oh, day mode, there we go. So I've just switched it over to day mode by pressing a button, and now you should hopefully kind of be able to see the bench. It's obviously very close for this optic because it's zoomed in. So what I'm going to do is, what happens if we take this off actually? Is it like another shade? See the Empire logo there. So what I'm going to do, for you guys it's going to be no time at all. For me it's probably going to be a day or two, just because I want to have a play around with this. I want to learn how to use it. If you are buying such a device, I'm just going to turn this off here. System power off. There we go. If you're buying such a device, you'd probably flick through the manual, just going in a bit blind and not knowing what the buttons do. Is going to make it difficult. Obviously charging it and stuff is very simple. You've got the USB-C lead, which will just go in behind that cap there. Buttons, we'll have to figure out what that is. That's obviously doing video, switching between video and picture. This looks to do some kind of light maybe, and what do you call it, video playback. And then this is like your modes and your picture in picture, I think. And then this is just a case of pressing OK and flicking through the menu. So I'm going to have a play. I mean, the image that it shows in the manual is pretty damn good. Whether we're going to get it like that, I'm not too sure. It's obviously a much better time to film at the moment because we're in winter and it gets dark very early. We should also be able to try out the rangefinder, see how that goes. Yeah, you can see there with the illuminator, you've got dispense and then focus. So it's more dispersed and it's more focused when you push that lens forward there. We've got anything else we need to look at? Obviously, you can mount the illuminator to the top here. Now, this is making it a hell of a unit if you would do this. But it is giving you all the rail space if you so wish. Now, most people would have an illuminator fitted to their rifle, because if you look at that thing, it's just bloody mahoosive, isn't it? You're not going to really want to use that. So you'd probably have that sat on your rail at the front of your rifle, just so that your rifle is not so big and bulky. You could also take the rangefinder off, of course, and it would go a lot smaller. So, right, let's talk. I'm going to go away. I'm going to have a play with it. Hopefully I can record some bits, and then we'll be coming back on camera and I'll be telling you my thoughts on this Oneleaf.ai Commander NV500 Eagle Edition. So first of all, I was just messing with the scope, clicking through the settings, trying to find out how this thing worked. When you hear me clicking the little buttons here, I'm actually using the rangefinder. So I'm using it on the corner of this building here, and it was telling me about 40.1 meters. And then as I moved up, there's like a chimney stack that's just behind it. And when I was using the rangefinder on that particular piece, it was showing up 15 meters, which I couldn't quite figure out why, because the chimney stack was definitely further away from it. Now, this is in really low light, not a lot of ambient light around apart from what you see, which is around the corner here. No help with the IR. so you can see what it looks like in just using the scope as it is. I do click through the settings. In this first clip, I was kind of trying to just figure out how it worked. So I'm going up here, I'm clicking the rangefinder, it's telling me 15 meters, which is incorrect. Just trying to get used to how this thing works, because there's not many buttons on it, but there is a certain way you either press them or you hold them to get the different functions. The next clip we're going to cut to here is actually indoors. This is very close range, using the night vision modes, using the IR illuminator, which you can see it blasts it out to begin with, but I'm just messing with the focuses. So this light bulb's like about 2 or 3 meters away from me. Just checking on how easy it is to focus this thing, which it is fairly easy. You have to focus analog night vision anyway. So I'm just trying some different setups now. The video's a lot clearer here with it being helped by the IR. That flashing little light that you see there is the rangefinder. So I'm just trying that out as well. This is indoors. Using something like this indoors is going to be incredibly difficult because you've got the magnification on there. Here I'm just sitting at the top of my stairs, just looking at the door. So we've got ambient light coming from the living room, which is just round the corner here. And I'm just going to flick through the modes and just see how this thing does. I'm just testing the spotlight here, so you can get it to go to a really like bright spot, or you can diffract it so it, you know, covers a much wider area. And then we're going to hopefully flick through the modes. So I'm just trying to figure it out here again. Each click I'm just trying to see if the rangefinder works, and indoors it was fine. So this is the IR off, this is in night mode, and that's the IR on. Just take a little bit for the scope to get used to it, so you see a lot of pixelation, but the clarity is obviously much better here. It's not zoomed in digitally, but we're going to do that in just a moment and just see how the picture differs when you try and zoom that in. So it is quite cumbersome to use, like as you're trying to, if you're not familiar with it, let's say you were set up in a hide and you're waiting for some people to come past, if you had you would have to get used to it first before using it in a game in the field. So I'm zooming in here with a digital zoom, and you can see it gets quite pixelated. Actually, start of a new clip, so you can actually set how long you want the clips to be, and it will chop the video up. So it had been, you know, a minute or two, so it chopped the clip down and then it moves on to the next file. This is starlight mode, which puts like a pinkish purplish hue. This is daytime, starlight, and just seeing what the difference is here. So you can see the ambient light coming from the living room, and now this is starlight mode with the IR on, which illuminates the whole door. Does make it very clear, but you're going to be visible to everybody that's using analog night vision. Moving back outside here, I've just moved position slightly to see if we can get it a bit better. So this is daytime. I'm trying to get the thing to focus. So we're back in focus there. This is the daytime mode, obviously at night. I'm going to be flicking through the modes here. I'm just trying the rangefinder out again. That's the IR illuminator on. And then we're going to change the modes. So the first one after daytime is the starlight mode. And then after starlight, the night, what signifies the night mode in the scope just goes to like a black and white image. So here's starlight mode. You can see it really does clear all that up. It's picking up all that IR light that you're throwing out now. Apologies for the shaky cam here. I'm trying to do it the best of my abilities at a longer distance. I will of course be doing more with this optic, but I just wanted to get something as a baseline, so when we go out and we start using it, get a bit more familiar with it, we can see how this thing does. So the starlight mode to me was a bit easier on the eyes. This is the night mode. It's kind of a personal preference. I just felt like I was seeing more in the starlight mode with that contrast compared to the darker black and white. What I will say is when you're using this optic, if you're in a dark environment and you've got that, you know, you're looking through it with your right or your left eye and you've got that screen that you're peering into, it really does. It's like holding a flashlight on your eyes, and then as soon as you come away from it, you can't see anything. You've got this after image just stuck in your vision, so it does take your eyes quite a considerable amount of time to get back to normal once you've started using it. But as you can see, when we recorded, it doesn't put any of the overlays there, none of the information that we could see when looking through the scope. It seems very inconsistent in the recorded footage. So as I'm editing this, the reticle, whether you can see it or you can't see it after this has been processed, sometimes it shows up and sometimes it doesn't. So there's something going on digitally where I haven't changed anything, and as I'm going through the timeline of my footage and just playing the clip over and over again, about 20% of the time the reticle will show, and the other 80% of the time it won't show at all. So there's some differences. Right, so back after a bit of a play, hopefully you'll be able to see some footage there. So a couple of things that I want to say, a couple of criticisms I would say, is when you're using this optic is, unless your eye is perfectly in the right place, the screen, it kind of trips your eyes out a little bit, where certain info on the screen will be like blurry. It's very, very strange. So you kind of have to pull your face away from it and then put it back on. Unfortunately, when recording, it doesn't show any of the menus. So I'm going through and clicking through the menus. I'm clicking the rangefinder. So it doesn't show your pitch, which you normally have on the left-hand side of the screen. It doesn't show that. It doesn't show the compass. It doesn't show the rotation in the scope, because you've got kind of like a level on the right-hand side to show if you're centered or not. It doesn't show that. When you click in the rangefinder, that information also isn't included in the scope. So in terms of you using it, it's fine. But if you wanted to overlay that in the video, maybe there's a setting for it. I'm not too sure. I couldn't find a way. It is kind of complicated if you don't know anything about this scope to go through the menu and see what it is. I mean, most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. What I would say is when you're in the menu, like let's say you're changing the reticle, you'll click change the reticle, it'll bring you like a drop down box. And I was flicking through it, I was trying to rotate this to flick through it, and nothing was changing. So I was looking at the number at the top, because it's got 1 through 7. That wasn't changing, and the only way you can see it changing is it slightly shades the box, but it's so subtle. At the first pass of me trying to do it, I thought it was broken and it wouldn't work, and then when I selected it, I was like, oh, it has changed. But then you have to come back out the menu to verify that. So that's something there. The footage that I recorded, of course, you'll see I was going through the modes just in the dark, and you know, it's almost like just having a camera without the IR on the side. For an NV optic, it won't really work all that well unless you've got a lot, and I mean a lot, of ambient light. Comparing it to analog night vision, unfortunately, it's like you're seeing, without the IR in it, you're probably seeing less than 1% of what you can see through analog stuff, especially good stuff. Now, I'm quite lucky to have analog night vision, so I've got stuff to compare it to. What was nice, even though I'm not a massive fan of these brackets, they're just very, very old school and dated. But what was nice, even though it said that you could cyclically switch between 3 brightness levels, I could not get that to work. But what you can see here, I mean, say I can get it to work, I couldn't notice a difference. But what you'll see here is, you'll see that's lit there. If you just do a press, it actually lights up these bars here. So if you want to do a quick check by doing the short press, you can tell the brightness with that meter there that's on the top. So that's pretty good. The focusing of the light also was pretty good. I mean, you've got a nice washed area, especially when looking through NV. It kind of lights up almost everything. It's kind of what you'd expect, but then you can really focus it in. What I will say, because obviously what I'm seeing in my eyeball and what you're seeing on the recorded footage, it is a little bit different, and that's probably because you're looking at a screen in here which is very small, and once you're blowing that up to a proportion where I've put it in the editing for you, you lose a lot of that clarity. But when you've got this dialed into its narrow focus, the narrow beam of the torch, it's just so bright that it kind of washes everything. It's like having a really bright torch and you can't pick out details because it's just blasting the area with so much light. It just kind of, washes it out. So It was pretty easy for me to get around and pick up using it. Now, I didn't look at the manual because I wanted to sort of see if you didn't have a manual, like let's say if you bought one secondhand or whatever, how easy would it be to pick it up? And it's very simple. So all the items that you see on these buttons here, so a short press will activate the top settings, and if you hold it, it will do the secondary settings. So on this one, short press, it goes through the mode. You've got daytime, it said starlight mode and nighttime. So what I found was, what I can gather on this, the nighttime goes black and white, and it's not quite as nice on your eyes as what it was saying was the starlight mode. Again, when I was recording, I was flicking through the modes. It also, as you go through the modes, it doesn't show it on the recording what actually you're seeing. What it would be nice is to be able to chop and change those overlays. Now you can change the reticle color, you can change the reticle shape. You can obviously see that on the box here, so you'll have a better indication of what you can have. You have different crosshairs, stuff with more information on it, stuff with less information on it. You can just have a dot if you want to, and then of course you've got 5 colors to choose from. So it's pretty intuitive. It was easy to pick up. It says it's shooting in this mode 4K at 120 frames. Now I'll have to test it in the daytime. Unfortunately, it's very dark here at the moment, so I'll be doing some follow-up videos because I want to try and use this in a setting and give you feedback from some further use down the line. So I will do that, don't worry. Rangefinder seemed to work pretty damn well. Again, it doesn't overlay it, so as you're in the scope, you just press. You can see it here. It says OK, and then it's got like a little flag option. You press that. Sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. Also, when I'm looking in the video, I was looking at a roof and it was saying it was 40 odd meters away. I went to a chimney that was on top of that roof, which was much further back. You could even see it with your own human eyeballs that this object is further away. When I went to a further away object and press the rangefinder button, it was telling me it was 15 meters. So I don't know whether it's picking up something dodgy. Maybe something was getting in the way. Maybe there's tree branches that I can't see that are sort of getting in the way of the rangefinder. You'll see on the footage as well that when I click that, you'll see like a little line like this, like a little IR laser beam line, and that's what's picking up the range. So, but nice to have that. I mean, it does bulk the scope up quite a bit. You could remove this if you wanted to. Is that the right? Yeah, there we go. So if you don't want to use the rangefinder, because many people probably wouldn't, and I'll get to the reason for that in just a moment. You can just literally undo these screws, and it has those contact points. So it's an intelligent system. What would have been nice if they maybe included like a little cap. So if you're not using that, you can protect these contacts. So that can go back on there. So rangefinder, nice feature. I think the one with the rangefinder is more expensive. They do different versions of the lenses as well. So this is a bigger lens. So this one starts at 1 times, and I think this is a 2.5. Just double check that. So we've got 1 and a 2. 1.5. It says 1.5 and 2, but this was definitely saying it was 1 times, which it probably wasn't. So 1.5 and a 2x. This lens is bigger, but we don't have the iris function. So that was actually pretty cool. So if you're getting in too much light, you can basically use the iris to, like you would on the normal MV, if you're getting too much light in, you can bring it down and just stop too much light coming back into the scope. So I've got, aftermarket irises on my PVS 14. Nice feature that is included in the optic. It just gives you a little bit more choice. Now, I imagine, let's say you're shooting in the daytime, that's when you would use this. I think it did say in the camera not to use this when you're using nighttime mode. I think it's basically in the day, it just stops glare and things like that. So that's also another little accessory that they include in the box. Now, this scope is probably more set up to real still shooters. And the reason for that is you've got so much options in there for your rangefinder. So what you can actually do is, let's say you're on a range, you can take a shot. Let's say you're pointing the reticle here and it hits here. You basically go into the 0 option and then you basically move the reticle to where your shot's placed and it perfectly zeros within, one setting. Yes, you could do it multiple times, but if your gun's pretty accurate, you just shoot here, your shot pops here, you go into the menu, you move the crosshair up, and then it recalibrates the scope so that you're perfectly zeroed. And another thing for that is, you zero the scope. You've got ballistic options in the menus. So basically you go through, choose your ballistics. Let's say you're shooting whatever caliber of rifle. And then what it will actually do is, as you're looking at something further away, you click that range. Let's say you zero it to 50 meters, for example. I'm doing it in meters because we're across the pond from you Yanks. But let's say I zeroed this at 50 meters and I've set my ballistics. Then when I go out to 100 meters, I use the rangefinder. It tells me the target's 100 meters away, and it gives you like like a marking on your reticle of where you should hold the target. So that was that. I presume that's that little green circle with the cross through it. So basically it's telling you you've zeroed at 50, you're looking now at 100. If you shoot here, this is where it's telling you your drop's going to be, basically. That's as far as I understand it. Now, if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me down in the comments below. But that made a lot of sense to me as I was looking through the options of the optics. So the Commander NV500 Eagle from Oneleaf.ai. Now, apologies to them because it has took me a bit of time to getting round to taking a look at this. And I did say that I would, when I spoke to them about it, I said, look, I'll do a video, I'll do an overview of what it is. We'll do a quick bit of video, and then I want time on the optics, so I'm going to go and take it somewhere when I get a chance and just see how it performs in the day. We'll see how it performs in the night time as well. And yeah, I mean, as far as the lenses and stuff go, they do feel, I'm not guaranteeing you they are, but they do feel really high quality. I love that they've got these connector points on, so just everything's set up and the optic knows what lens you've got attached to it. So you are getting everything in the box that you need. You're getting the optic, you're getting 2 lenses, you're getting a rangefinder, you're getting an IR illuminator. You also get a spare separate charger for your 18650s for that illuminator. What would be nice is to have some kind of pressure pad for it. So I'm not sure that would be something that would be, you know, off the shelf for such an illuminator, because I've never seen this style of torch before. So does it have some really cool features? Yes, it does. I think it's better suited for those real steel shooters compared to airsoft, because, you know, let's say you're shooting on a range and you're doing stuff like that and you want to record what you're doing, it can do it. If you're doing pest control or you're hunting or something like that, where you're not shooting like pests, or whether it's rabbits or whatever it is in your respective country, they're not donning like Gen 3 night vision and looking back at you. So it makes more sense that way. If I took this to a night game, for an airsoft night game, and there was people there running analog Gen 3 night vision, they're just going to absolutely rinse the floor with you with something like this, because you really do rely on this torch. I was hoping that it would have a respective capability without the dedicated IR, but there we have it. So in terms of the quality, from what I can see quickly in the editing before obviously this video gets posted, and you can see all this is all like the zeroing and stuff and calibrating it and stuff like that. So the compass, here's a good example of what I can see. So you've got your screen, you've got your reticle, you've got your elevation, you've got the rotation on the scope, and then you've got your compass at the top here, and then you've got a bar that goes up and down, so that's where you're dialing in the digital zoom of the optic. Again, it's got all these ballistic groups, coefficients, all this stuff that for airsoft doesn't mean anything, but for real steel shooters out there, especially the Americans watching, this is going to be a lot more of use to you guys shooting the real stuff. So yeah, there we have it. Again, like I say, I'm going to have a play with this. It's a very difficult thing to review in such a short amount of time. It's also a very difficult thing to review in a room like this. So quality feels really nice. It's a very, very stout optic. It doesn't feel cheap at all. I don't think these relatively are cheap. Let's find the right cap for this. I don't think these relatively are cheap optics. But compared to some of the options out there, maybe it is, because, you know, some of the night vision scopes you can pay anywhere from £5,000 to £10,000. Like the analog optic that I do have, the Gen 3 one, it's very, very good. Outdated technology now, but with it being Gen 3, it's just, you could use that and not have to worry about someone seeing you radiating light, because it literally just uses ambient light. So a nice little compact package. It comes with everything that you need. Whether this is a good deal or a bad deal, I'll leave that, guys, up to you. There'll be a link down in the description which they've provided, where you can go check one of these out, but the Oneleaf.ai is their website. So thanks for tuning in as always. More time needed on this. It's not as cheap as probably I would want it to be, but it does have a ton of cool features. So TLDR, probably better suited for real steel shooters, pest control, stuff like that, than airsoft. But even so, it's got some very, very, very cool features. Just us airsofters really aren't going to use that. So thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed the video. There isn't a lot of information that I saw going ahead before this review of anybody talking about this, so it is interesting to see it firsthand and discover it at the same time as you guys. So thanks for sticking around. As always, like the video if you think I've done a good job. I ain't going to ask you all to subscribe. If you think, if it's somewhere you want to stay and check out future videos, then I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But as always, from me and Bench, we'll be seeing you in the next one.